like the rest of you to weigh in on this, just, how you balance something like this along with, the impact on jobs. All of us are concerned about these days.
Well, I think it's a great point, but I think many of us would agree here. There's other ways to address carbon. So, for example, Puget Sound Energy is the second largest utility owner and operator of wind in the country. I mean, not many people understand the magnitude of our wind facilities. And currently, we're building a 343 megawatt wind facility in Garfield County. So the little town of Pomeroy, we have approximately 160 construction workers right now, and after that is over, we'll have about 60 full-time employees in that location for these wind facilities. That reduces carbon. I mean, looking forward at additional resources and creation of jobs, I think it's very important. The other piece is energy efficiency. We talked about energy efficiency up here. That is the single largest job creator in the energy sector. And so when I talked about removing barriers for making those good decisions, that's what the utility's been trying to do. We talk about regulatory mechanisms like decoupling, but really that is a job creator. And so there's many different things that we can do to reduce carbon looking forward that doesn't necessarily impact industries negatively. It really, I think that all of us are joined arm in arm on reducing carbon. It's just how we're going to go about doing it.
Others want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I actually think that having a price on carbon can be a great job creator, because I think much of the good lifestyle that we enjoy today is largely based on the fact that we've had cheap, abundantly available energy. The fact that we're not burning wood and wood coal for our needs is what really has enabled our lifestyle. And I think that if we can't take the lead, I think that North America, US and Canada are really still the leaders when it comes to innovation, entrepreneurship. If we can harness that innovation and keep having that lead, I think we can create a whole lot more jobs. Because trust me, it's not going to be in the traditional energy economies going forward. It's changing, and we're not keeping that lead. Yes, we need to make sure that disadvantaged are taken care of as prices go up for certain things, and we need to make sure that it's a complete. I totally agree with your earlier view that you need to make it very transparent and a tax shift and not just go into the government coffers. But I actually think it can be a job creator.
Others?
Yes, it's always so hard to include everything you should in 5 minutes. The projects that I mentioned all created jobs. I won't go through the list of them again, but like the first one on my list was 41 jobs for 2 years from construction, and then about 35 permanent new jobs. Each one of them has that. Each one of them was a significant step forward in energy efficiency. Each one of them got those facilities close to the 2030 goal, and in one case the 2050 goal under the executive order for carbon reduction. This happened without a carbon price signal. It came because energy efficiency was the driver. When we don't do this, if we don't stay competitive, these jobs just get exported, frankly, to China, which is outbidding my industry on recycled paper. And when we buy our paper products from the Orient, it's probably made with coal power. This is a step backward in my point of view. What we need to do is keep our manufacturing base intact and moving forward with new technology that's energy efficient.
Jim, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, and I would agree with Lars's point that the carbon price could conceivably induce a lot of productive investment. But I also want to step back and let's just remember the big picture here is that we are potentially looking at some very large-scale societal risks with carbon emissions. They may be small, it may be medium, it may be quite large. At this point, as Cliff Mass said, we don't really know. But we know that risk is there. And there are costs to using fossil-based energy, and the prices that we pay for those sources of energy do not yet communicate that risk that we face. So you've got to look at it in terms of risk management. We have to do something to diversify our energy sources, and one way to do that, and again, it's not the only way, but one way is to put a price on carbon.
Your questions, why don't I work you in and go right here, go ahead.
I have a question for Llwellyn, and I'm afraid I don't quite understand how a carbon tax would negatively affect your industry if it is developing its generating its own power and actually selling it on the market. It seems like competing with the
You know, it's all the devil in the details. You know, this conference is looking more broadly at a variety of schemes than we looked at politically in the last 2 years. But most of the early proposals would have led off capital investment money. I mean, when you have a mill manager saying that would impact my bottom line, that would require me to pay more money out this year than my capital investment budget, that's telling you he would not have a capital investment budget to spend on boiler. So that's the relationship. You can't tax somebody's money, take it away, and expect them to also spend it.
Another question over here.
Go ahead. Yes, thank you for this conference. I think it's wonderful, but I think we're missing some of the science. When you talk about the risks are huge that we do nothing. And I think everyone here is kind of in the choir. We know that we have to do something with carbon energy. But as I've been following climate science, about 2 years ago, climate scientists gave up on finding a solution. The words now are mitigate and adapt. And what we are doing now is a form of mitigation. And we can turn into Adam and Eve and pass all the legislation in the world, but it'll still take 50 years for our industrial activity, if the carbon emissions are reduced, to even see an impact on our environment. Now, 50 years ago, when I was a child, supposedly there was 4% less water vapor in the air than there is today.
Is there a question? Do you have a question?
Yeah, my question is why aren't we being a little more aggressive in our actions?
I'll take a shot at that, and I'll hand the mic off to my panel mates here. How about politics, sir? Our energy system is based on about 80% fossil fuels, thereabouts, and that is a huge embedded investment of trillions of dollars in tankers and pipelines and refineries and power plants and coal mines and on and on and on and on. And transitioning from a fossil-based energy system to one that's more diversified and lower carbon, you are dealing with some significant political static, and that takes time to resolve. So I'll turn it over to my panel.
Well, I think we are aggressive. When I told Jay Manning, who's then one of the governor's office, what some of these projects would take, he said, if you've got a mill that meets its 2050 goal next year, I'll take it. So I'll pass the.
Go ahead, Bill.
I'd like to comment on that. I don't think too many people here are suggesting that we don't aggressively pursue this. Specifically, what I was asking for was some kind of industrial policy that would help people transition. We don't do a good enough job transitioning right now. And if we're competing with somebody, say Pulp and Paper, that doesn't have to adhere to the strict structure that we have to, some kind of remedy, call it a tariff, call it a tax, whatever you want, but in order to preserve jobs in this country rather than just shipping every job we have overseas. But I am not suggesting we don't do anything at all, okay? Just to be clear.
Lars, do you want to jump in?
Well, I'm not a politician, so I'm not sure I have a whole lot, that's why I focus on working directly with entrepreneurs and companies. So I'm not sure I have a whole lot of advice on how to I share your sense of urgency and how to get action quickly. But I think it takes, changes will come when people in general and businesses and companies support something wholeheartedly, then you'll see change. And how do you get there?
Go ahead, sir.